So many times in my work I say to people that part of understanding stereotypes, understanding one's prejudices, is to really get in touch with who we are most comfortable with. And most of us are most intellectually and emotionally comfortable with people who are most like ourselves. And once we can really get in touch with that, then how do I broaden that? How do I broaden it so that I can get more of an appreciation for difference? And somewhere out there, how do I get to a point where I can begin to value differences? And I think that's the intellectual curiosity. That's very, very much beginning then to acknowledge one's humanity with the rest of humankind, that yes, I am much more comfortable with, quote, my own kind, but humanity is interdependent, and therefore how then do I move beyond that?
Yeah. It seems that in our age, in the 20th and 21st centuries, that we have unprecedented opportunities to really partake of world cultures everywhere. And
there's no question. It's part of, and I think a term that has now crept into our late 20th century language, political correctness. And it's unfortunate that as we try to partake of world culture, as we try to become more multicultural, more interdependent, that juxtaposed on that is something called political correctness. To me, as I look out at trying to understand stereotypes, prejudice, there is no political correctness. It's a confrontation with one's past. It's a confrontation with one's rigidity. It's really trying to understand how one evolved, how one developed his or her worldview. And then how do I continue to expand that worldview so that more and more people are let in?
Well, maybe before we go any further, I think it would be a good idea to define the term stereotyping for viewers who may not be familiar with it.
To me, stereotyping is that one takes a category, whether it be race, gender, age, geography, whatever that category is, and then fits a person from that broad category into it and ascribes traits, qualities, attributes based on that category rather than based on individuals. And I think the most volatile types of stereotyping are around race and gender. She is a woman, therefore she thinks this way, she feels that way, she behaves the other way. Same with race. But I think once we get some understanding of the more volatile types of stereotyping, we stereotype in many, many ways. We stereotype geographically. I remember coming out of the civil rights movement. For many people like myself, you had to get in touch with your stereotype of a white person and a Southern accent. And you would hear a white person with a Southern accent, and you knew you had to slow that down because all too easily you could stick that person in a category and do the very thing that you were struggling to have people not do to you.
Well, I suppose I know in my own origin, I happen to be Jewish, there's a tendency amongst Jewish people, and I think probably amongst every other group, to kind of develop disparaging remarks that you make to any outsider.
Yes. Where were you born?
In Wisconsin, in the Midwest.
All right. For me, part of what each of us must now do in our groups is to move beyond what I call trying to attain manhood or womanhood by putting someone from outside our group down. I think we see it so much around the world. I remember a couple of years ago when the Prime Minister of Japan was talking about blacks and Hispanics in the United States. And to me, that was his way of announcing, I'm one of the big boys now. I'm on the world stage, therefore I can begin to put down other people. And I think it is very, very much any of us who are in touch with our own culture, our own upbringing, the strivings of our own groups, can recognize that all too often, one of the ways that we feel good is to develop language and imagery about people who are different, and language and imagery about people who are different that makes them somehow less than. And I don't think any of us have any corner on that. And to me, health and what I call racial and ethnic health is to understand one's group, one's pride in one's group, that then allows you to expand it and to then reach out and drop the need to have to look at people as who's superior, who's inferior, who's below us, who's above us. But just I can value the difference. I can look at the difference and value that, appreciate it, be intellectually curious about it.